You're interested in cryptocurrencies, you're interested in Bitcoin, you're interested in investing, and you keep hearing about the bull run. What is the bull run? Why it is super important to understand the concept of the bull run? Why does the bull run mean that there are phases where the price of Bitcoin goes up and then down again? And why is it that we as investors, we as people who believe that Bitcoin is the future of finance, we as people who believe that investing in Bitcoin now can lead to financial freedom, can lead to us multiplying our savings, multiplying our wealth? Why are the fluctuations that occur in these cycles super healthy and super helpful? That is what this video will address. And you will see that by understanding the past, you can reasonably predict the future. And those times during which the price of Bitcoin goes up and up and up, even in a somewhat inflated fashion, which we call the bubble, during that time, you can make life changing money. And if you want to try to time the market, because nobody can fully time the market, but if you want to try to time the market, then you can think about, well, when is the top of the bull run reached? And at that point, some people might want to sell their Bitcoin and keep it as a stable coin, for instance, USDT, USDC. There's a lot to understand here. And as always in crypto, we have to get comfortable looking at charts. Today, we look at a chart that is brought to us by Into the Cryptoverse, which is an amazing platform, somewhat for advanced users, so I don't necessarily recommend you get that right away. The chart we will look at is the Bitcoin logarithmic regression bands. Do you actually understand what it means when we talk about a logarithmic scale? I think a lot of people don't necessarily know what that means. Allow me to help you understand. When we use a logarithmic scale, we use a mathematical process in which we make the small numbers larger and the super large numbers smaller, so that then when we look at it from a high level perspective, it's easier for us to recognize patterns and thereby predict future movements as well. Meaning, in the past, when Bitcoin climbed from $0 to $10, that was a huge achievement. That would be the equivalent of it going from 100,000 to 1 million. Why? Because it 10x'd in value. However, the step from 0 to 10, which was a much smaller step than the step from 100,000 to 1 million, but equally important because it was a 10x, right? If you look here on the left-hand side, you can see on this logarithmic chart the price going from 0 to 10 takes what? 1, 2, 3 bands. However, here, the price going from 10 to 100,000 is only one band, right? Meaning that all the movements we see here in this phase were much smaller than here on the far right hand side, where even a short movement represents a lot of value, which is great, right? Because that shows us that even here in the future, 25 and forward, these fluctuations here that we're still going to enjoy a Bitcoin price potentially here hitting $1 million in the early 2030s is still a lot of money, which answers the question, are you too late? I think this clearly shows us that nobody is too late, because when we look at what happened between 2000 and 2024, that was a price from 0 to roughly 100,000. But now we get to see here anywhere here, we get to go from 100,000 to pretend $1. And that is super, super awesome. And I think that answers the question, are we too late for Bitcoin? The other question that is answered in this chart, that again, it predicts the future, but this is no guarantee. This is just looking at the past and then using mathematics to take an educated guess at where we are heading. But what it shows, it looks like there is the potential for everyone to create generational wealth, immense wealth, because we are looking at an asset that is about to potentially move from 100,000 to $1 million. And that is why you hear so many popular voices predicting, oh, I think Bitcoin will go to 250,000, 500,000, 700,000, 1 million. In some way, they are all right. It is just a matter of how many years. Let's go back into the details of this chart. When you look closely, you can see that there is this upwards movement of the Bitcoin price here between 2011 and then somewhere in the middle of 2011. So this part we call a bull run because the price increased pretty steeply. Then we see another phase that is a price increase here, and that is between 2013 and 2014. And then the price goes down again. Yes, but note that it never goes down to previous lower levels. It keeps increasing. And that is why investing steadily into Bitcoin is actually very powerful. And then we had this long phase here of the price of Bitcoin being flat without losing its value, though, right? Between 2015 and the 2017 here. By the way, this here marks the moment where I personally started going into Bitcoin. This was my moment of starting to invest in Bitcoin, and then it did very well for me. But let's continue looking at the bull runs. So we have another bull run phase here, right? Between 2017 and a little bit in the middle of the year of 2018. And then we had one here. Okay. And we are currently in another one. But what was on a logarithmic scale towards the right hand side, the distances get shorter, but the distance, a short distance means more money. Remember what I told you? Here, it took 1, 2, 3, 4 bands to go from 0 to 100. But here, you go from 10K to 100 in one band. Here you go from 100K to 1 million in one band. Okay. So we are currently, if you look at this part here, it's moving up, right? So that is a bull run. What I want to do now is zoom in on this part here. Of course, again, we cannot look into the future. We are currently December 31st of 2024. This software has an algorithm that kind of predicts the price a little bit, but it's very clear that we don't know what the future holds, but we are to find out. So here we have a price of 40,000, and then we currently hover around 100,000, right? This is an increase from 40,000 to 100 within a year. And if we look at the past, the peak of the bull runs have always occurred when it touched this red line here, which is referred to as the upper bubble band or the lower bubble band. So we have touch points here with the upper band. And as you can see, that has not happened yet for the current bull run. Hasn't happened. So if we can use the past to predict the future, then the end of the bull run will occur sometime when this blue line touches the upper band. Now that is exciting because that means, let me zoom in again. Okay, so that means that we can look forward in this model, if we look at the bubble lower band, to a price around 243,000, right? Let's say 250,000 between now and let's say in the middle of 2025, where we see the top of the current bull run. Well, it looks like it. Nobody really knows for sure. So I hope this video has helped you to realize a few things. Number one, there are cycles within the cryptocurrencies that have held true in the past, where we basically saw a lower boundary, then the price spiked up to a certain top, which was represented by the bubble lower band, and then the price went down again. But when it went down, it never went to previous lower levels. And that means that investing into this asset is a pretty reasonable approach to be a good saver and a good investor. There's multiple levels of how deeply you want to be engaged in that process. You can be a saver who just regularly puts away some money and purchases Bitcoin with it, or you can be a short to medium term investor where you try to time the markets a little bit and maybe purchase at the beginning of the bull run and sell at the top of it. And then you can also be an active day trader, someone who looks at these intraday movements and tries to buy low and sell high. In any case, if what I've shown you was of interest, and if you want to have access to a very beginner-friendly course that shows you how you can start investing in Bitcoin right now, all I need you to do is go to crypto.lifestyle, and then you'll get access to that free beginner-friendly video.